Welcome to this TaskCentre demonstration with an Access Dimensions focus.
My name is Rob Cowper. I'm from Orbis Software, and with you today to demonstrate a few simple tasks that could help perhaps with your credit control. These will be, in the first will be a simple linear task that literally does what it says on the tin here, automatically place customer on credit hold where terms exceeded. As I say, it's a simple linear task. If I click on it and have a look at it, it's got no more than 4 steps. There would be 5 in practice because this task would run on a schedule, which I would drop onto my work canvas thus, and then configure and set up to run however many minutes is appropriate. Or that might be a trigger event that starts off this task, but I'll delete it for now because this is a demonstration and I'm going to run this manually as and when I'm ready to run it. So the 4 steps we're going to work with are a query of the database to see which customers, if any, are qualifying to be put on stop as a result perhaps of some sales order activity today or the last X number of minutes, a format and notification by email to an irrelevant account manager. We don't want it to go to an irrelevant account manager. In this case, the account manager will be identified through the query and their email address looked up. So that will all populate through with necessary data in the email to advise them of any customer needing their attention urgently. And finally, with that, we're going to proceed to working in Access Dimensions directly from TaskCentre through its API, application programming interface called the Database API, or the SDK as it's sometimes called, Access, whereby external applications, in this case TaskCentre, can write into Dimensions according to the business rules laid out by Access. If I look at a particular step, you'll see that these steps have subpanels and within them and tabs, and this is a query. So it's a GUI wizard, this essentially, that's generating SQL to identify the qualifying users that should go on stop. It's very easy to drag and drop and run your criteria through here, even as a non-SQL expert. But if one prefers, one can generate one's own SQL directly and take over control of the coding as you see fit. If I test this particular query now, it says I've got one customer in my database that is qualifying to go on stop right now. They've just exceeded their credit limit, and it looks like they've exceeded by a handsome amount, and that they're under CC user 3, their account manager Helen Smith needs to be notified. So if I then run this task, you will see the various steps there, the 4 steps all running through green, and one row has been processed. That will be for Helen to look at. And if it has run completely, which it indicates it has, I expect an email has gone out, which I'll look at now. And there's been a change in access, which we will look at following that. Firstly, the email, right? So here we have a notification to Helen. Miller's Arms is the customer in question, and she has been advised of the credit limit being exceeded, the current balance, the limit, and the difference and threshold that has been breached, hence the email. And if we go into Access, we should basically see something similar. Amongst the customers, we should find that customer, which was Miller's Arms, now on credit stop. All right, so, and with the same details that we saw earlier. If I draw on down onto Miller's Arms, there we see the customer on stop, and the credit limit. It really needs to go higher to take the customer off stop, or they need to cancel their sales order. After this demonstration, I'm going to move on to another webinar. They're broken up into separate webinars for the sake of granularity and give you a break. That webinar will demonstrate that Helen is going to now increase the credit limit there with a view to having this customer taken off stop, but she can't do that by herself. She can't do that, make that decision unilaterally. She can make a change here, which will affect a workflow that we'll look at, whereby somebody else with the necessary authority, a credit approver, who has been set up for this particular customer, will receive an email and a link that takes them to a form where all the details of their application have been made. They can accept or reject that. And if they accept that, well, Helen's customer gets to buy another day. The credit limit will stick and the customer will be taken off on stop. If it's rejected, any credit changes that she made to that limit will be rolled back and the customer will be left on stop. And again, Helen sent the rejection news accordingly. So stick with me for that webinar, but that brings us to an end on this webinar. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to meeting you again for the next. Good day.